सत श्री अकाल। हम देख रहा हूँ जो आपकी माँ और बाप इधर है, उनको शक्ल देख रहा हूँ, उनका मन में कितना आशा है, आपके फ्यूचर के बारे में कितना सोच है, उसके हम पहले देख रहा हूँ। ये भी मेरा आशा है आपको मेरी बात समझने के लिए पंजाबी में बात कर सकते हैं, मगर थोड़ा दिक्कत है, हम पंजाबी बात करेंगे तो आप नम समझ आएंगे, इसलिए आपका हमारा देश भाषा मान के कोर्ट में अंग्रेज़ी में बोलते हैं, वो अंग्रेज़ी में हम बात करेंगे। इस गौरव मुझे मिलने के 1 महीने के बाद हम जिस बार काउंसिल में हमको एनरोलमेंट हुआ था, चेन्नई मद्रास बार काउंसिल में, उधर हम वैसे एनरोलमेंट का प्रोग्राम चल रहा था, उसको शामिल में था। कोई 2000 लोग खड़े थे, एनरोलमेंट हो रहा था। ऐसे इस जगह पे तरह तरह के डिफरेंट इकोनॉमिक सोशल बैकग्राउंड से लोग आए हैं, वैसे उधर भी था। जब सुविधा मुझे बुलाए थे इधर, 2 महीने से मैं उनको धोखा दे रहा था, हम आ रहे करें करके, मगर समय नहीं मिल रहा, मगर आज समय मिल गया, अच्छा है, मुझे बहुत खुश है। जस्टिस बिंदल साहब को मैं बहुत रेस्पेक्ट करता हूँ। आई एम वेरी हैप्पी ही इज हियर टुडे। आई फील हम्बल्ड बाय हिज प्रेजेंस। You've been told that you are entering into a new chapter in your life. In a way, it is true. Those of us who entered the legal profession by studying law more than 50 years ago, going to court, being a litigating lawyer, and studying law from within that narrow understanding of law and its role was the way of life of law. But fortunately for us, today if you look at, if I have to do a quick survey of all those young minds present here and their parents, I'm sure you all come from diverse social economic background. And that by itself is a great beauty of the fact that the legal profession is now in a position to invite and take in people from all walks of life. We talk about a first generation lawyer as something very important to happen in somebody's life, meaning thereby, by sheer dint of hard work and without any background or connections, you achieve something in the profession. But I know there are a large number of first generation lawyers who have to struggle very hard. This is not the time when you are entering into the profession to talk about the challenges you will face. But you must know those challenges, how to circumvent those challenges, how to deal with them without being or feeling burdened by the challenges. Like any walk of life, any profession, is not something which can happen easily. When there's enormous competition in life and in several professions, challenges are bound to come. But I would like to talk about how, as you move ahead in your professional career, and as you become part of the stream of administration of justice, and as you begin to understand how, by becoming an integral part of the stream of administration of justice, you are part of a nation-building exercise, a nation-building engagement. Now imagine, we are 75 years beyond independence. For more than 3 years, the Constituent Assembly debated a constitution. So in 1950, between 1947 to 1950, our country saw very unfortunate developments because of partition. But to the great credit of our country, by the time 1950, when the Constitution got drafted finally, and the Assembly adopted the Constitution, I would say the dimensions of peace which accompanied the adoption of the Constitution has continued with us even today. Our country is one of the most peaceful places in the world. Let us be part of that peaceful place in the world. First commitment to the legal profession is to be part of a peace and order in the society. But you may ask me a question. Constitution, law, all talk about rights. They all talk about dispute resolution, and where is peace? Please try to unravel your own answers for this question. And when I mean peace, the ability, the equipment, the willingness, and the commitment to become part of nation building, I say, itself will be a great contribution to peace. When you think, all of us must think differently. Freedom of expression and speech, important for us. But that does not mean that we sacrifice something larger in the process. Therefore, the first stage of entering into the profession is to make a commitment that we are part of a nation of great antiquity. And I would urge, if you have not so far read good part of our history of India, please read more and more of it. From Kanyakumari to Kashmir, from Maharashtra to West Bengal, and pick up any part of our country where people have migrated over long periods of time. You no longer can say who belongs to which part of our country today. So we all migrated and became part of a great nation and a country. And what made that possible is our culture, is our religion, our philosophy. And we were taught so many wonderful things to live in peace. So our country never engaged on a warfare outside. It never went to conquer the rest of the world, because we were taught to conquer our mind. What do they say? Probably in Punjabi. Man jeete, jag jeetu. So conquer your mind and you will conquer the world. So the next lesson you will draw in the profession is how to conquer your mind. When I say conquer your mind, not disciplining it in that pedestrian sense. To conquer your mind means the legal system as you encounter in the court. The people as litigants, as consumers of justice who come to you, how do you really make a bridge between them? And for that, it's important that you train your mind in more than one ways. I was asked a question just before coming here. So how much of your time is available for your personal life? So when you enter the profession, please forget that you have no personal life. You don't have a personal life when you enter the profession. You will have life only with the profession. And much later when you move into the profession, higher and higher, good and good, and reach a stage, you will again find that the line between personal life and professional life has vanished, because your profession is your life. How to make that happen? How to make profession as your life? I go to a lot of law schools for giving lectures. I receive a lot of interns. And those of you who come from very ordinary background, where your parents have spent a lot of money on your education, and want to see you, growing up in career and profession, they have a lot of questions to be answered. And people ask me, sir, what kind of advice you would give to us in the professional career. Now I can say, all right, look at my life, it happened like this. Therefore, destiny will make things happen to you. I think that's not the way one should talk about it. Of course, we are all guided by destiny, each one of us, in some way or the other, invisible, visible. But in everybody's life, there is always a good Samaritan, a good agent who comes and gives you a helping hand. Just wait for that good Samaritan knocking at your doors. It could be a very ordinary client, but the way you probably deal with a very ordinary client, you may be rewarded in ways which you will never know. My first client, if I put it like that, was a very poor woman who was locked in a battle against an MLA in Pondicherry. I come from the most distant place called Pondicherry, but as I told you, we are all connected together. Language, culture, notwithstanding those differences, we are all connected. We are a great nation. So this woman was locked in a battle with this MLA, and I was called upon to do a free legal aid work for her. I took it up as a passion, and when I was seen in the bar taking up a first case of the legal aid case, and I belonged to a very important leading professional in Pondicherry, the public prosecutor, in whose office I had worked for some time, I was told a legal aid lawyer. Oh, he's a legal aid lawyer. You know, I mean, a legal aid lawyer is something lesser in status than any other strata in the profession. I say it's not to be seen like that. It is not the status of a person whom you serve, but the cause which you serve. And it so happened that the MLA lost his case and the woman succeeded. And when I got married, there's a woman with a son, very humble family. They came and wept on my shoulders after almost 3-4 years. I still remember that evening. That's a great reward for life. So somebody can come and be part of your life because you have served them without any expectation or return. So please be prepared for all that wonderful encounters in life which may happen to each and every one of you. And my senior used to tell me, keep your doors open for 24 hours a day. You will never know who will knock at your doors. Of course, now as an Attorney General, I need not do that, but I've done that throughout my life. So please keep your doors open, keep your minds open, and keep your hearts also open, in the sense there'll be many invitations where you will be asked to even get emotionally involved in a case or in a cause. I would like to say a few words about that. Before I do that, I hope I can some more time. I don't want to keep Justice Bindal waiting. The scene of legal education has changed vastly. As I said, not merely a litigating lawyer profile, a person who qualifies in law is now so many opportunities. These opportunities have their own dimensions, have their own challenges, whether you go and join a law firm or a corporate entity or an in-house lawyer in any companies or corporations, etc., or you become part of a government or any opportunity which comes to you. Therefore, there are a wide range of opportunities today. Don't shut out any opportunity. Receive any opportunity or any invitation which comes to you. And as I told you, one door may open up another door, and so on and so forth. There are always doors which get open in everybody's life. You never know when a door will open. So having regard to the dimensions of change in legal education, generally in our country. So the career opportunities sometimes may look a little challenging and also very worrisome, but I'm sure depending upon how each one of you are able to manage the initial years of your life in the profession, and then make an impression on wherever you are going to work. I'm sure maybe after the way I talk today, after 42, 43 years of my standing in the bar, looking at history of the Supreme Court and what all happened there, and what's all happening in our country, and what lawyers have done for our country. The 6 portraits here, each one of them are great lawyers in their own standing. And each one of them have made contributions in one way or the other to law and administration of justice and then the social ordering. Who else than Mahatma Gandhi could have told us ahimsa, non-violence, is the greatest tool in our hands to make peace for everybody. So therefore, just keep your hearts also open. When I say that, I must also give a few words of caution. As you are young, you will be probably persuaded to take a very exciting courses. Today there are too many courses which are taken to the court. Social, political, economic, environmental, too many of them, which never went to the court maybe a couple of decades ago. Some of them may have dimensions like a faith or a religion or a cultural issue. Many emotional issues are there. You may be involved in them. After all, when you're young, you must be persevered to be involved in them. I've done that. But be a little careful in the sense that if a cause which you espouse is at the cost of other issues and matters which are great moment for the nation and the rest of our community, there could be problems. So in the course of our excitement in espousing a cause, we may be doing contrarian things also. So in that sense of the matter, with a great engagement in exciting matters, persuade yourself to have a little patience, and to manage patience with perseverance is very important. And besides this, the changing dimensions of the legal profession itself. As I said, the kind of issues which are taken to the Supreme Court or the High Courts, one would wonder whether the Supreme Court is becoming virtually a policy maker in our country. The High Courts to some extent also. All this is part of changes which have happened by reason of number of factors. And you must study them over a period of time. You must be part of studying them. Unless you study them, you will be a passive bystander and you will look someday to what have I done in my life. So please study all these factors and know them as deep as possible. And when you do that, you will find that by reason of several factors, both domestic factors, our own internal factors, and global factors, the way justice is being administered across different institutions, from the courts below up to the Supreme Court, is essentially what one may call a social transformation process. This social transformation is possible because of the Constitution. So in 1950, when the Constitution was enacted, the literate part of our country, the urban areas, they stood in great expectation because they understood to some extent what is the Constitution about. But people in the far-flung villages in our country, they were mute spectators of the constitutional emergence. But you will be surprised to find out that in 1950s, those who went to the Supreme Court or the High Courts were not the urban rich. They were all ordinary men and women of calling, ordinary calling. They were very keen to establish the importance of their fundamental rights. I don't propose to talk about each one of those cases. So it did not matter that they were all mute spectators, but it mattered that the Constitution gave us the passage towards a great future. Therefore, Constitution is not a mere thing to be adopted at your discretion and will. To use a figurative term, it must be your walking stick and also your bedroll. You don't leave your bedroll, no? Even as long as you, when you get up, of course, you leave your bedroll. When you have a walking stick with you, a great walking stick of knowledge, a great walking stick of being part of the community, please do that. Constitution, I again don't propose to talk about constitutional morality, constitutional values. They are too big a subject to be spoken about, in this evening. I don't want to burden you with all that. You must start clapping at the end of the day about the great event that's going to happen to you. And I wish your mothers and fathers, in this hall, I'm looking at each and every one of them. And I want to share my feelings of happiness with each and every one. Mother who is assembled here with their, son and daughter. Let me congratulate those mothers who are here to be proud mothers of your proud children. And I'm sure that with your expectations and flowering in your hearts, your children will do wonderfully well. And the other part, before I conclude, the other part of the changing dimensions of legal profession is, I find my younger sisters, more and more women in the profession. What a beautiful thing to happen. I would not have imagined this when I tell you, with my little association with Professor Madhav Menon, the great legendary legal educationist who was my teacher, and the great experiments he did in setting up the National Law School University in Bangalore, the change is tremendous. In every law school, probably in every law college, and the enrollment of women has increased many-fold. And I say, therefore, it's a beautiful thing to happen. And I don't think, you remember about 20 years ago, people are talking about 33% reservation for women in parliament. We don't need that at all. Once you come in a big way, I invite all of you to come in a big way and be part, as I said, the peaceful nation building. We don't need reservations. We only need commitment. We only need that kind of an engagement. And I'm sure each and every one of you here, it does not mean that I am ignoring the male candidates here, right? So there was, my learned friend talked about Vakil Sahib. Unfortunately, Sahib is said to be not a gender-neutral word. It is still a male word. Somebody may talk about it. I wish we coin a new word where gender-neutral appellation, which addresses each one of us in a gender-neutral way, because Sahib at those days, when only Sahibs would come into the legal profession. I'm so glad that to see more of you here. And finally, the challenges you may encounter in the legal profession, convert them into opportunities. That's what every philosophy says. So convert them into opportunities. And when you convert them into opportunities, two things are likely to happen. You begin to run faster, right? Or you may sit and take a little rest before you can begin to run faster. Nothing else happens. Opportunities always make these two things happen. So I talk with my personal experience. And when I was asked just before coming to this August Assembly about how did I make it to this position as Attorney General, I drew a blank. I did not know how it happened. Beyond destiny, as everybody tells you, commitment to the profession comes from a wide range of concerns. And those of you who are not in a position to experience the pain, the misery, the anguish, and the concerns of the poorer sections of the community. Our country has still a large number of people who are in deprived conditions. They need justice. They need assistance to justice. They need support from institutions of justice. And we are the bridges. So if you are not in a position to feel all the pain and misery and anguish, perhaps I would say you are an inadequate or an incomplete human being and an inadequate lawyer. Don't be an incomplete and inadequate lawyer. To be a full lawyer, you must have all these qualities. And you can learn them. There's nothing which cannot be learned. So I wish each and every one of you all that wonderful learning. I wish each and every one of you, beyond that learning, that great fulfillment in life, which may come certainly at some point of time after your travel. And also be prepared, as I said, not to look at your personal life when you enter the profession. Make it part of your professional life. Your parents will then at some point will be happy. Oh, what a wonderful thing that happened in my family. Let it happen in each and every one family. I salute all the mothers who are assembled here and wish you success. Thank you so much.